Okay, she was right. A conditional statement is a statement that can be written in if-then form. If the Warriors score more points than Tuscaloosa County tonight, they will win. If Tuscaloosa County scores more points tonight, they will win. It's an if-then statement. If you eat Skittles, then you will taste the rainbow. Okay, that's a conditional statement. We have symbols for if-then form. This arrow means that you read this as if P, then Q. If P happens, then Q will also happen. However, your P is called the hypothesis. Do you feel like you're in science class?
Yes. Unfortunately. I love science.
Hypothesis. If your hypothesis happens, then Q, your conclusion, will happen. So here is how you always know what the hypothesis and the conclusion is. The hypothesis always comes after the word if. Hypothesis is after the word if, even if is at the end of the statement. Your conclusion comes after the word then.
Even if the conclusion is at the beginning of the statement?
Uh-huh. Okay, so on 1, here's the word if, so what follows if?
Hypothesis.
So it is Saturday is the hypothesis. Then there is no school, so that is the conclusion. If x minus 8 is 32, that's the hypothesis, height, then x is equal to 40 is the conclusion. Well, how did they get 40? Add 8. However, on number 3, if is down here. So it, huh? Is there what? Yeah. I'm a math teacher, not an English teacher. I'm just kidding. I should be able to teach everything. If its last digit is 0. So this time your hypothesis is down here. I'm sorry. A number is divisible. So if is down here. Now, do you see the word then? No, but I did see the word if, so I know this is the hypothesis. So the other part, the only option is for it to be the conclusion. Okay, so now that we know the hypothesis and the conclusion, we need to learn how to write our own conditional statements. So it needs to be an if-then form.
If it is a mammal, it is a warm-blooded animal.
What about if it is warm-blooded, then it is a mammal?
Sure.
Huh? Okay. If it is warm-blooded, then it is a mammal. Now, someone said, well, can't you say if it is a mammal, then it is warm-blooded? Yes, I just like to start with what do you know first? You know what I mean? Like, well, I know it's a mammal. That's not what I mean. What I mean is what makes it a mammal. Yeah. Oh, I'm not getting into that complicated stuff. Love you, Maddie. I will not put something controversial like that on your test. Unless it's math. Okay? Okay? If it has 5 sides, then it is a... Did you already do this one? if it has 5 sides, then it is a pentagon. Try 3 and 4. What? Well, where did you have to be in order to receive a rubber duck? Does that help? Finish 3 and 4. Good. Okay, look at number 3. How would you have gotten a rubber duck that day?
If you're in the class and you received a rubber duck.
Marshall was so excited. He had his hand up and like, pick me, and then y'all were like, blah, blah, blah. If you were in class, then you received a rubber duck. Okay? Think about this. Now I'm getting a little bit ahead of the game, but think about it. If that's true, okay? If that's true, then is this the same thing? If you were not in class, then you did not get a duck.
Yes.
Okay, let's think about it. Okay, 4. 4. Abby, what'd you put?
But if the sum of the measure is 90, then it's a complementary.
Yes, just make sure that you remember how many angles does it take to be complementary? 2. So, if the sum of the angles, because it has to be 2, if the sum of 2 measures are 90, then they are complementary. Good job. Okay, to the back we go. You can do it. Okay, so not only is there a conditional statement, which we just did, which is said using P then Q. Okay. There's also a converse, which is Q then P. There's an inverse, where it's not P then not Q.
Contrapositive.
And then there's a contrapositive, which is not Q then not P.
Okay, question.
Yes?
Do I have to memorize all that?
Yes. You don't have to memorize all of these words. What you need to memorize is a conditional is P then Q. Converse is Q then P. Inverse is not P then not Q. Contrapositive is not Q then not P.
Oh yeah, I'll get right.
Okay, great. It'll come easy. It'll come naturally. If you write big, I would get out a separate piece of paper. If you write small, I think you're going to be fine. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. We have this statement, guys. We have this statement down here. If you live in San Diego, then you live in California. This is the conditional statement. So this statement is if P, then Q. So P is if you live in San Diego, and Q is then you live in California. Thank you. Is this statement true or false?
True.
Well, is San Diego in California?
Yes.
Okay, then it's true.
Are you sure there's only one San Diego?
I don't know. Do we need to look it up? I don't know. It's San Diego in California.
Other San Diegos. Probably more.
Oh, yep, there it is. Y'all see it?
No, aren't there other San Diegos?
It doesn't matter.
I don't know. We're not getting that technical. Okay. Okay. So that, this is the conditional. If P, then Q. Okay, well now let's write the converse, which is Q, then P. If you live in Cali, then you live in San Diego.
That's false.
Uh-huh, you're right. Okay, well, if it's false, I need a CE. What's CE stand for, you think?
Counterexample.
Counterexample. If you live in Cali, you don't have to live in San Diego. You could also live in
Marietta.
any of these cities. I'm going to pretend like I live in San Francisco. So your counterexample is you could live in San Fran. Okay, that's the converse. It's false. The counterexample is you could live in San Fran. All right, let's write the inverse. Inverse is not P, then not Q. So if you don't live in San Diego, then you don't live in Cali.
That's false.
Okay, write a counterexample.
That's like the same formula as God. Just even it.
Or you could use the same one. The counterexample is you don't have to live in San Diego to live in Cali. You could live in any other city.
That's cheese. That's definitely cheese.
Fran, what's cheese?
Oh.
What's the type of cheese?
I thought it was Sacramento. Is there Sacramento cheese or is it pimento cheese?
Sargento.
Oh. No, it's like orange. I swear.
I think it's Sargento.
It's orange.
Okay, so we have written, or we have wrote, I don't know which one of those is correct. Convert, we have written,
Inverse.
converse, inverse. Now let's write the contrapositive. Sometimes I just shorten it to contra, because that's a long word. So now we need to write not Q, then not P. If you don't live in Cali, then you don't live in, what are we talking about, San Diego?
That's true.
Yeah, it's true. Well, if you don't live in the state of Cali, there's no way you live in San Diego. Okay, there's something that I need to show you. There's this thing called logically equivalent. Logically, yes, write this down. Logically equivalent. That means they're the same thing. Their truth values are the same. So we can put congruent truth values or equal truth values. Same truth values, whatever you want to say. There's two of them. What I mean is that if you start with your conditional statement, so here's one of the two sets. There's two sets. Your conditional statement always has the same truth value as your contrapositive. Conditional and contrapositive. If one's true, so's the other. If one's false, so's the other. Was that true in the example we just did? The conditional was true, and then we also said the contrapositive was true. The other one is your converse and inverse. If your converse is true, what's your inverse?
True.
If your inverse is false, what's your converse?
False.
Good. That's all we're going to get to today, but you do have time to practice. Yes. Yes. No, y'all got the same spot, but they did not get any time to do homework, and you have time to do homework.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You have like 10 minutes. They have like 1 minute.
Okay.
So don't pack up. Work on your homework.
Okay, yeah. Miss Jenkins.
Okay, so on 1 through 4. 1 through 4. You're circling the hypothesis, underlining the conclusion. Okay? 5 through 9. You're just writing it in if-then form. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little charts to fill in about the conditional, converse, inverse, contrapositive. Now don't mark these off. So don't mark them off. But you don't have to do the last 2. Okay, I won't check those Monday. So don't mark them off because we might do them. But you don't have to do those last 2. Okay, so Monday, I'm checking for here, this third box, up. So 1, 2, 3, and up. And what else? The what? What else besides this paper?
Oh, the
Advertisement. We will do workshops on Monday. Okay? Advertisement. Yes? What happened?
Like, the whole I was at 8. Like, yeah. But I got. I was so sick.
You made a speedy recovery.
I still feel
Why are you heating up? Y'all get me in there.
my mama forced me. I just asked her to take me out.
The person who made this did. I didn't make it. Yes.
Yes, I am.
No? Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, y'all.
What?
I meant to put equivalent.
Equivalent.
I don't know what I spelled.
Yeah, that's confusing.
I meant to say equivalent, not equivalente.